Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. Today, we're going to talk about a very sinister alliance in our neighborhood, the Pakistan China alliance. A lot of people may just believe that this alliance is all about Pakistan taking in money from China. That may be so. What does China want from Pakistan? And it cannot be just an anti India stand. There are loads of other things that the Chinese are worried about in the region. Let's find out what, with, of course, Saturday, as I said, always is Major General Rajiv Narayanan. Sir, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Interesting topic.
Yes, good afternoon, Aadi. Thank you again. Very, very interesting because it is next door and both the neighbors are involved.
Both nuclear neighbors are involved.
Yes, and they are involved and both are not doing well internally. West, of course, is doing very, very, very badly. North is also not all hunky dory, and they're known to shenanigans to hit out whenever
They are down.
they face when they are done to divert attention. To coalesce, they hope to coalesce the people with them.
Indeed. So, the first thing I want to ask you, I just as a lighter note to begin this conversation, I had a comment by somebody on the channels one fine day that you guys keep crying about this China threat, Yevo, and all that stuff. What's wrong with you, Pakistan? There is nothing. So I found out the chap was from Italy. So I said, okay, fair enough. What is your point? So you made some silly point, and I said, okay, give me a call when you have two nuclear armed neighbors on your border threatening you. Then we'll talk. No response after that. The concept of this is not very, very well understood anywhere in the world, that India is the only country, two nuclear armed rogue neighbors as a opposition.
Very true. A lot of my talks have always said that the further away a country is from a zone of conflict or a zone of tension, the perception is very different because it doesn't affect them directly. It's only when it affects them directly that they start crying. Okay.
Mhm.
The US never targeted any of these through the 80s and 90s when we kept telling the terror, 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 terror. They came here only post 9/11 when it struck home and they realized what can happen. Right? Same. This same West said nothing when we have had tensions with China, Galwan, or with Pakistan. No, no, sit across the table and talk. Are they ready to
Hmm.
sit across the table and talk with, make Ukraine and Russia talk? Now, when it has come next door to them, are they walking the talk when they tell others to do it? So it's always a case because when it is away from you, हाँ 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 नहीं नहीं बात कर ले यार हो जाएगा और जब खुद के जूते पड़ते हैं तो तब पता लगता है एक्चुअल that's the same case. Italy is a basket case यार. For the last 7 years it has been growing at 0.1%. क्या बोलेगा इटली यार?
No, I mean, Italy is just, I think,
यूक्रेन
Italy's
वॉर के पहले ही वो रिसेशन. He is already in stagflation. There is hardly
he's
any
taken money
growth.
from IMF also, sir.
Yeah, there is no growth now. Like I said, for the past 7 years, and I remember I had given an interview to one of the Italian newspapers. They had taken some bite from me when they had signed this agreement signed on to BRI and the Chinese. And I had laughed at their face that what are you doing? They wanted a port to be improved by the Chinese, but the Chinese went elsewhere
Yeah.
and they never added this. They said, "नहीं बाद में करेंगे." And precisely from those areas, North Italy, because he was more keen to get into southern and eastern, central, southern and eastern Europe from Italy, and those were the areas which caught COVID first. अभी तो सब तरफ से फंसा हुआ है इटली यार. ठीक है बोल देता है हाँ वो I don't understand. Obviously, he will not understand. He has bigger things to worry about at home.
For example, the prominent Russian invasion threats.
ये- और रशिया इन्वेजन तो फिर भी दूर है, पैसे नहीं है ना, ही इज फीलिंग लेफ्ट आउट ना, उससे कुछ मांग भी तो नहीं रहे, कुछ दे भी नहीं सक रहा है वो।
On that note, sir, the hypocrisy of the West is not lost in our neighborhood also.
या
The hypocrisy doesn't seem to end. We've got two best friends of ours. First of all, let's comment on the army chief's visit there, sir. Very interesting. पैसे मांगने गया क्या करने गया I don't know, but the Chinese general, the chief of general staff or whatever he is, Zhuang Wadong or Walong or something. Sorry. He says that Pakistan is the most important partner and most important thing in the Chinese neighborhood. But ये भी बोला कि भाई सीपीईसी ठीक नहीं है तो जो तुम लोग कर रहे हो, वी नीड मिलिट्री आउटपोस्ट देयर.
यस, वो तो है।
So what's that
I am
all about?
longing telling that the overseas strategic strong points are not limited to maritime. He wants land. He is pushing for his people to be permitted to guard themselves. He wants to place boots on ground. Okay, so अब इनके ऊपर है क्या करेंगे, हाउ मच कैन ही, हाउ लॉन्ग विल ही रेजिस्ट, बट ही नोज ना the money of all these Chinese, the Pakistani elite resides in US and the West. He can go only that much and not more. But खबर ये है कि that chief was read the riot act,
हम्म.
especially for that chap who's being caught for supposed
उसको
blasphemy.
छोड़ दिया ना, छोड़ दिया.
एबटाबाद में है वो।
ना छोड़ दिया सर. The case is false. Court has said the case is false. Case has been levied on the police station that actually arrested him.
अब वही तो है ना, जूते पड़े हैं उसको तो अब क्या कर सकते हो यार। वही है ना, भिकमंगे भी हो, दादागिरी करना चाहते हो, कितनी चलेगी यार एक भिकमंगे की दादागिरी, एक चपेट पड़ेगा कान के नीचे सुधर जाएगा। अभी यूएस ने इसको कहीं ना कहीं चपेट मारनी है, अपना दुम दबाते हुए यूएस के पास चला जाएगा। अब ये इसकी हालत ये हो गई है। आई वुड लाइक कि भाई, बट आई अपोलोजाइज बिफोर आई मेक सच अ स्टेटमेंट। दो पाले थे इसके पास, चाइना और रशिया, एंड यू होप दैट ही कुड प्ले बोथ अगेंस्ट ईच अदर फॉर द बेस्ट ऑफ हिमसेल्फ, कि मुझे मुफ्त के पैसे मिल जाए। आज ये हालत है, धोबी का कुत्ता ना घर का ना घाट का। दोनों टेकर्स, जहां जाता है थप्पड़ खा के आता है।
Yeah.
जहां जाते हो थप्पड़ खा के आते हो। कोई आपसे सीधे मुंह बात करना नहीं चाहता, क्या करेगा। That is the situation. You are running left, right, and center. You're not sitting down and trying to solve your internal problem, yeah.
No, and you're creating more.
वो करे जा रहे हो ना, और कुछ आता नहीं है तुमको। You're not sitting down, कॉमन मैन के बारे में नहीं सोच रहे हो। तुम्हारे फिशर्स तीनों सारे वर्टिकल्स में फिशर्स आ गए, उसके साथ बैठ के कुछ सलाह मशवरा करो, कुछ बात करो, कुछ समझाओ, कुछ नहीं। क्योंकि अभी तक गुंडागर्दी और दादागिरी के से चल रहे थे, अब कैसे चलाओगे। गुंडों के गैंग में गुंडागर्दी होती है यार।
Yeah.
वो बात करने वाला तो कुछ नहीं होता है, काट दो, मार दो, धमका दो, ये कर दो, वो कर दो, और क्या आता है यार उनको गुंडों के गैंग में। अब यही कर रहे हो तुम, अब आईएसआई तो यही कर रही है। अब क्या बोलोगे तुम लोगों को। और इसी में यहाँ प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है, क्योंकि चाइना इज फीलिंग कि भाई इफ देयर इज अ कोलैप्स इन दिस लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, इट विल गेट अ ब्लो बैक इन सिंकिया।
Okay.
दैट इज द मेन वरी। ग्वादार में उतना डर नहीं है उसको,
पैसे गए गए, डजंट मैटर.
नहीं, बंदे तो हैं उसके यार, वहां पे गार्ड तो है, उसकी शिप्स वगैरह तो आ जाएंगी वहां पे, नेवल प्लान की शिप्स। बट जो लैंड कॉरिडोर से आएगा फिर क्या करेगा, क्योंकि उसने पंगा तो इंडिया से ले लिया है, सारे तो यहाँ डिप्लॉय हो गए। अब उसको अगर डिप्लॉय वहां पे करना है तो किसको करेगा? जो 2 डिवीजन नॉर्थ पे बैठी हुई है उसके सिंकियांग में, उसको लाना पड़ेगा। तो सिंकियांग को कौन लुक आफ्टर करेगा? यही तो कंसर्न है उसको। That is the whole problem. See, he has 4 divisions in Xinjiang, 2 to the south and 2 to the north. उरुमची में 2 हैं और नीचे काशगर के इलाके में 2 हैं। जो काशगर वाले इलाके में 2 वो आगे हैं। टिबेट मिलिट्री डिस्ट्रिक्ट में 3 कंबाइंड आर्म्स ब्रिगेड थे, वो तीनों के तीनों डिप्लॉयड हैं। इसके अलावा 3 और ब्रिगेड आप लेके आ गए हो वेस्टर्न थिएटर कमांड से, कंबाइंड आर्म्स ब्रिगेड 3 और लेके आ गए। गुड। अब अगर काराकोरम हाईवे खुलता है आपका, तो अब क्या करोगे? कहां से लाओगे? अगर और उधर लेके आ जाओगे, देन यू आर फेसिंग अ मल्टीपल फ्रंट टुवर्ड्स योर साउथ इटसेल्फ ना। अभी तक तो एक इंडिया ही था, तो अभी आपको पाकिस्तान का भी देखना पड़ेगा। तो दैट इज वेयर आई फील इज लुकिंग एट व्हेन ही इज पुशिंग की बेस चाहिए।
You are now saying, and guys, hear this very carefully. Sir is saying something completely the opposite of the conventional thinking. Conventional thinking is China is using Pakistan against India. What Sir is saying, that be it, China is also scared of Pakistan for its own safety, as we are.
Pakistan and Afghanistan, yaar.
Mhm.
See, like in one of your shows only I had mentioned, it's a brigade plus worth of Uyghur Muslims who are battle hardened. इराक सीरिया में लड़के आए हैं ये,
Yeah, yes, sir.
ठीक है। एंड ही विल बी स्केर्ड बिकॉज हिज सोल्जर्स आर नॉट बैटल हार्डन। गलवान एंड यांगसे हैव प्रूव्ड इट यार, नॉट बैटल हार्डन। जो चपेट पड़ती है भाग जाते हैं। अब ये आगे आगे 5-8 हजार लोग अंदर घुस गए हथियार के साथ, और अमेरिकन ने तो सारे छोड़ रखे हैं हथियार। $40 billion worth of equipment वो लेके अंदर घुस
Sometimes
गए
you
तो क्या
really
करेंगे?
wonder, huh? We abuse the Americans for leaving all that stuff there, but sometimes you really wonder there was a long-term plan for all this stuff. If
अब
that
वो
was it.
लेके, yeah, now if these people come in with all these weapons inside, what is he going to do?
Oh, bad.
From where is he going to get it? Because he's already activated his eastern seaboard. He can't touch his southern theater command, eastern theater command, and some elements of his northern theater command he can't touch. That leaves him with western and central theater command. Western command का काफी यहाँ पे आ गया, तो अगर पूरा वेस्टर्न थिएटर कमांड इधर आ गया तो इंडिया के अगेंस्ट क्या करेगा? अगर इंडिया के साथ एंटी बढ़ जाता है तो
हमको तो बढ़ाना चाहिए फिर एंटी एक्चुअली.
so he is getting worried now. So he is pushing, hence the riot act to him that we need bases.
आसिम मुनीर.
Yeah.
तो
And
सर
phase 2 of CPEC also talks about SEZs and land for agriculture for the Chinese all along the Indus. I won't be surprised if he starts taking this to link it up right up to Gwadar, but he won't do it till he is able to place his boots. But will Pakistan permit? They are quite a proud nation. All be said and done, they also feel strongly about these things and they will not permit.
nationalism भरी है. There's no question about it. What you're saying, yeah,
That
absolutely.
you have to guarantee. वो झुकने
You have
वाला
to,
नहीं
you have
है,
to give it to the
बट
Pakistanis.
प्रेशर तो आ जाएगा यार।
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
अगर वो जबरदस्ती घुस गया जीबी में, ऑलरेडी बूट्स आर देयर एंड इट सेट्स अप अ स्ट्रॉन्ग होल्ड आउट देयर, क्या कर लेगा पाकिस्तान? व्हाट विल ही डू? देन पाकिस्तान फेसेस टू, one opposite us, one opposite China. You see the whole jigsaw puzzle that is going on. इंडिया की दोनों से किसी से कोई ऐसे दुश्मनी नहीं है, खानदानी दुश्मनी किसी के साथ नहीं है. They have themselves started it, and now they suddenly find today the situation in Pakistan has created this beautiful jigsaw puzzle of a security issue which they are now looking at, which is one of the scenarios I feel that they would be worried about.
Shall we go through your presentation, sir, before we can actually dig
Yeah,
into some
yeah,
more
yeah, yeah,
questions?
yeah. Yes, yes,
I mean,
yes.
scary scenario, whatever you're talking, sir.
So I'll concentrate on Wakhan, which is critical for China to guard against the Uyghur blowback. They are very scared of the blowback now. Okay. Till the Americans and ISAF and all were there, they felt chalo hoga nahi. All the gali galoch, whatever they would have done and everything hegemonistic, this, that. But heart of hearts, they knew that as long as these people were there was a very less chance of the Uyghurs to come through that area. Now that is not there. And the Taliban in Afghanistan are not playing ball. So now is the worry. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. So this is just to show the Wakhan corridor, a tongue which was created by the Britishers to keep a gap between the British Empire and the Tsarist Empire, the Russian Empire. It is this tongue now which you find is the critical area, and the area immediately adjacent to it, which is our Gilgit Baltistan area, and part of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is the Chitral area. It is these areas now which becomes a concern for them. Yeah. Can we go to the next slide? Now, as far as China is concerned, when you look at the map below, right bottom side, Shamak, that is the place where there is a joint base existing for so-called joint patrolling between the Tajiks and the Chinese north of the Wakhan corridor. This is essentially to protect them immediately coming into Xinjiang, anything coming up. And this is the garrison which they have made with defenses and everything. Okay. Now comes the next jolt. Next slide. Yeah. Now that was at that corner. Now Wakhan, they are making an additional base for a special rapid reaction unit.
Yes.
What's the deal with the Tajiks? They will not man Wakhan. Wakhan will be for the rapid reaction unit of Tajiks for whatever it is worth. I don't buy that. But that base, joint base which was there, that's why it has been put, it's a Chinese base now. It will be controlled by the Chinese and run by the Chinese. Now, that means both of these, now the Chinese have a presence towards the north of the Wakhan corridor. Physical presence. And there is nothing much. And at the mouth of the Wakhan corridor is a place in Afghanistan. There is another similar named place in Tajikistan. In Afghanistan, right at the mouth of the Wakhan corridor is Ishkashin. Chinese had been after the previous Afghan government of Ghani that we will fund and you raise a independent mountain brigade of Afghans to control the Wakhan corridor. But the Americans and the West didn't allow that to happen. So would it happen now? You don't know. But that has been. So because then they have 3 bases along the length of the Wakhan corridor to stop it. So now you have to consider ऊपर तो हो गया, अब दिक्कत नीचे है. So let's go to the next one. Okay, so this just shows that the Russians have the 201 military base, Dushanbe, Kurgan Tepe, Kulob, that area, and then southern portion of Gorno Badakhshan, you will soon find that the Chinese are sitting there. Okay, so next one.
This is an sorry, but this is an autonomous region within Tajikistan, sir.
कहने के लिए autonomous होता है.
अच्छा, समझ गया.
Yeah, they call it Gorno Badakhshan autonomous region. Now just look at it that ये ऊपर चला गया. They want a buffer where I have written Gilgit and that area. That is the area they want a buffer. Why? Gilgit Chitral. There are 3 passes out there which date back to the old Silk Route. Starting from the west, where the Gilgit ka boundary, you have a tri-junction of Gilgit, Chitral and Wakhan.
Okay.
घूम के आ रहा है.
Right on the top.
Yeah, right on the top at the corner, बिल्कुल. Gilgit का boundary side से निकल के where Gilgit is written, it turns in and then goes up. And you have a tongue of the Chitral coming in and north is the Wakhan. At that area is a pass called Boroghil Pass, about 3,900, 4,000 meters. Okay. उसके नीचे एक जगह है सरहद करके, and it's also called in Wakhan Sarhad Boroghil. That is one pass. Then when you come another about 50 kilometers to the west, there is an Irshad Pass. Okay. So these two go into the Wakhan corridor. And where you find the Gilgit Baltistan, Wakhan and China tri-junction. Gilgit Baltistan, Wakhan and China tri-junction here.
Where the red line is going by, exactly.
तो उसके नीचे ये जो खाली जगह है, जो रेड लाइन के नीचे जो खाली जगह है, that is China. There is a Mintaka Pass. That is what is most scared of here. It goes straight into China. It goes straight into Tibet, Xinjiang. So these are the 3 passes which he needs to control, so that people can't. And of course, side में D से नाम है एक pass which comes from Afghanistan into Chitral. Darhoj or some, I'm forgetting the name, D se naam hai, towards the north, south of the mouth of Wakhan corridor, which comes into Chitral. These are the 4 passes that he is interested in at the moment. Buffer chahiye usko from, so that the Uyghurs are not able to come in. You control these passes by your physical presence in that general area. Upar wala isne le liya, niche wala le liya, and he will work with the Taliban to see if something can be done for the mouth. हो सकता है, fine. नहीं हो सकता है, at a later date he'll have one more at the Tajik East Kashim area, so that the whole length of the Wakhan corridor he controls. There's hardly anyone living there यार, बहुत कम है. वो क्रॉस करके अंदर चल के भी चले जाएंगे तो ये तालिबान वालों को पता तक नहीं लगेगा कि कोई अंदर घुस के चल के गया हुआ है. They won't know. Hardly anyone who lives there. And it is the tribe there who live there, it's very sparse, are Kyrgyz. And immediately across in Tajikistan is across Tajikistan in Xinjiang. This is the Kashgar prefecture and Tashkorgan district, which is Tajiks. Just look at how the people are dispersed and deployed. Wakhan corridor are Kyrgyz, and immediately to its east in Tashkorgan in Xinjiang, they're all Tajiks. Now, when he talks of this, this is the area he is more interested. He's not interested in other areas. वो बाद में आएगा. अभी immediate, to sort out his immediate problem, which can come from a sinking Pakistan, उसको कुछ चाहिए यहाँ. I don't think he trusts that the Pakistanis will be able to stop the Uyghurs if they come in.
Would they want to stop the Uyghurs, sir?
Even if he wanted to, he can't. वो तो केपीके के थ्रू निकल जाएंगे यार. What has he got in KPK? Look at the kind, they don't report as much. Look at the kind of attacks that are taking place in KPK. Yeah? You just look at the Twitter chatter. How many attacks are taking place on the police stations, on the frontier constabulary, on the military posts that are there? And at the present moment, Pakistanis, the elite would not want this to happen. Because he has no backing. किसका backing है आज? किसी का backing होता तो permit कर देता ना कि भाई is not listening to me, I have the backing of the US, तो चलो थोड़ा शोरला छोड़ देते हैं वहां पे, शोर शराबा हो जाएगा. And then say कि अच्छा अच्छा मैं ये करता हूँ, but I will need some money to do this and all. But today he is stuck ना. Like I made that statement, unfortunate statement, धोबी का कुत्ता ना घर का ना काट का. Neither the Chinese are interested only in taking their pound of flesh. The West is not interested in them. And they have their geo-economic squeeze of the elites' money and their kids who are all there. Evident with Saudi Arabia also, no? All gung-ho, and they decided to get the Hamas. One word from the State Department and that's it, yeah. You invited the Hamas and you didn't give them the visa.
Oh, तो देखो सर, that is MBS throwing a tantrum. They allowed it. Americans ने आग दिखाई. MBS said, okay, that's a limit. I'm not crossing that.
Correct. So same is the case with Pakistan ना. Limit है, उससे ज्यादा तो जा नहीं सकते ना. पैसे तो इतने thousands of crores के जो पैसे बोल रहे हैं वो सब तो US and West में है. It's all in Anglo-Saxon states यार. तो वो स्क्वीज लग जाएगा वहां तो फ्रीज हो जाएगा, तो करेगा क्या? ये सड़क पे आ जाएंगे. इतने सालों की कमाई तो नहीं कह सकते, इतने सालों की लुटाई जो लूटा था वो फंस जाएगा. Okay, so next, I think we are finished.
Yeah, this is it. But I want to go back to one slide, sir.
Yeah.
Right, this one. The reason I want to talk about this, when you look at the the Wakhan corridor, it's sparsely manned as it is. There's nobody that stays there. This that the Chinese are sitting in two places, on the mouth and a little bit towards the inside, as you've shown here.
Yeah.
So दो इनके यहाँ पर हैं sir. Now, sir, Tajikistan is also not a very heavily populated area. Or
No, as it is, GBA, inka Gorno Badakhshan is a very sparsely populated area.
so what stops them from transversing?
So that's why I said na, these two bases, they would be patrolling inside the Wakhan corridor. या तालिबान को पता तक नहीं लगेगा कि ये अपना पेट्रोल करके जा रहे हैं.
नहीं, I'm saying Wakhan ठीक है sir. What about the north from the GBAO area?
No, it's a very mountainous area. Movement is not so easy.
Okay.
Movement is not. There is a road. Khurog se aata hai, then it bends up towards the north. There is a link which comes further from slightly south, and Kulma Pass karke hai. Kulma Karasu it is called. It is part of the Asian Highway Network 66, number 66. The road is not very good. Kacha hai till the Tajik custom center which is there at Kulma, and then after that the road is okay. It crosses the Kulma Pass, then goes down to link up with the Karakoram highway at a place called Karasu. Karasu is the Chinese custom port, dry port. Okay, that is the place where they are, and you go in there and then the customs take you. That's why it's called the Kulma Karasu Pass. It's part of the UNESCAP ka Asian Highway Network. If I remember the number correctly, it is 66. So the road abhi bhi, I'm told, I tried checking. Hamare time maybe it was not that kacha track tha, but at that altitude, matlab कच्चा ट्रैक इज ओके यार, बारिश बारिश कौन सा होता है, स्नो पड़ता है, स्नो मेल्ट हो जाता है, वो कच्चा ट्रैक वैसे ही रहता है, ग्रेवल टाइप. बट आफ्टर द Tajik post, it's a beautiful, it's a 2 lane road, used to be a 2 lane road, abhi bhi I think it's a 2 lane road, and it goes and links up with the Karakoram highway, Ulma Pass.
So what is
And the
the
other pass is in Kyrgyzstan.
so now what would China want to protect itself? This we've spoken about the northern region, we've spoken about Wakhan and all that stuff.
No,
Pakistan,
this is what he wants in Gilgit Baltistan, and he would like it in that small portion of Chitral, that tongue of Chitral also.
that northern area.
Yes, because that is the basic route, कहीं से भी आए, बिकॉज दी काराकोरम पास तो उनके हाथ, कुंजराब पास तो उनके हाथ में है, so that is not an issue. The all the other passes, if they are controlling, then it does not become easy for these militants, Uyghur militants, to get across back into uh, China.
Hmm.
Makes it that much more difficult for them. I won't say that they will not be able to, it makes it that much more difficult.
It's going to be quite interesting if the Pakistanis actually let them start using this area, because one, they're going to have troubles with us. What else will be the
They have a whole
ramifications
lot
for
of
Pakistan?
problems with everybody in the neighborhood and extended neighborhood here. But like I said, they are nationalistic and they are quite a proud nation. So being in it, and that is where is going to be how he is able to play it out, Munir, because this is where he has to tread very carefully. अगर दे दिया, he may find, I won't be surprised if the Pak army itself throws him out. They will not accept this यार, कि तुम किसी को, किसी और देश को अपना
पिछला
टेरिटरी
आर्मी
दे.
चीफ कश्मीर छोड़ के आ गया, ये आर्मी चीफ तुम ये
हाँ,
छोड़ के आ गए, कर क्या रहे
Gwadar
हो?
in any case is defunct sort of thing. It came to them in 54 only. It was part of Oman, by the way. So when it sticks out like an ulta T into the ocean. It comes out like an ulta T. So as you're facing it from the ocean, right side is where the Gwadar fishing village is, and the Pak naval station is there. Left was Khali, and that is the one that has been given to the Chinese, the Khali one.
But sir, वो भी तो useless है. I mean, what is Iran से they didn't build up a power station there. They don't have fresh water in that area. They
नहीं,
planned to build up something in Karachi and bring in fresh water from there. That didn't happen. They're taking electricity as we speak from Iran. What has the Chinese done in that place except for building a couple of cranes and a port?
all these, see, when you look at CPEC and you look at their energy, uh, Pakistan already had a installed capacity of 22 gigawatts of electricity, and most of it was gas fed. Okay. As per their own assessment, they had said at best they would need 28 gigawatts of electricity, but to be on the safer side, 30 gigawatts would do. So, what do you expect when another nation comes to help them? That out of this 22 gigawatts, they were not able to use more than 11 because maintenance was useless, charges were very high. तो सारे वो पतंगबाज होते थे ना, पतंगबाज जैसे that you put a hook onto the wire and you take. So nobody was paying
यूपी बिहार
anything.
में एक टाइम पे this used to be.
Yeah, and nobody was paying anything. Most of the industries had their own generators as backup available, and most of the time that was being used. So what you would expect is that you step in, revamp and maintain all these installed capacity of 22 gigawatts, and you add whatever extra is required. Now, China didn't touch any of this. They have added 32 gigawatts of power, new. Bulk of it is coal fed. तो फर्स्टली तो तुमने वहां पे एनवायरनमेंट की तो वाट लगा दोगे. The cost is twice, 2 to 2.5 times more than what was being charged earlier.
So
Who
that
will
is
buy?
that
जो
minimum.
पहले वो ही नहीं खरीद रहे थे तो ये कौन खरीदेगा?
हाँ,
So it
वो
was a
minimum
clear
कुछ
indicator
है.
for phase two
Hmm.
for themselves when they come up with the industry. And with Pakistan having, like an idiot, having signed that, pardon my language, having signed that agreement, they would be paying, yeah. So that would have taken them right up to Gwadar. That has fallen flat now. Phase two खुला ही नहीं है. Pakistan is economically collapsing. And that is how you find suddenly Gwadar is क्या कुछ नहीं है यार. And they had big plans next door, huge SEZ के लिए जगह है. They have plans for making a revamped and a huge international airport. Imagine Gwadar International Airport. Who will come यार?
फिर कराची नहीं जाता, ग्वादर कहाँ जाएगा कोई?
नहीं, कराची में तो फिर भी है ना, कुछ तो है इंटरनेशनल ट्रैवल. इनके बंदे जो
The airlines are stopped going, sir. They've
they are
बंद
all
कर दिया.
they have all stopped going क्योंकि कुछ देने के लिए है नहीं उनके पास.
ऐसे नहीं है.
Right. But otherwise, earlier when this was going on, Karachi was an international airport, flying in, flying out, Rawalpindi, अपने Islamabad. And at that time, even then, who will go? Now Gwadar is a sleepy fishing village, यार कुछ है नहीं. Now those people are crying because पानी की तो वैसे ही वांदे लगे हुए थे. Now these people have come and they are taking the water for them.
There is no fresh water in that area, yes.
No. So that is up a gum tree. So he will look at it, I feel, a little later when he needs to manage that. But his immediate danger is of these people coming into ISIS coming in there, your Uyghur Yetim coming in there. They call themselves now TIPS.
हाँ.
TIP,
Turkestan Islamic Movement.
Turkestan Islamic Party. वो किसी मिडिल एजेस में the Turkestan, then it became Eastern Turkestan and Western Turkestan, and फिर वो सब टूट टाट गया. That is what. So I feel at the moment his biggest worry is to the north. And indicators were there. I think it was in October, I think, or November 2021 when they have signed this agreement with the Tajiks to make the second base. बना दिया होगा अभी.
No, this is just after the takeover in Afghanistan. The withdrawal from Afghanistan, I think 2-3 months after that only that second base ka news came out.
It became a big worry for them ना कि Taliban has taken over. अगर वहाँ उसके थ्रू आ गए तो, so they've taken over the complete Wakhan corridor. And literally you can say that they have now dominate the Wakhan corridor, and they'll be happy that they are able to dominate the Wakhan corridor. Now they have to worry about North Gilgit and Chitral. And especially the easternmost pass, Mintaka Pass, which comes from Gilgit right into your Xinjiang.
So China would be basically looking at the entire region of Gilgit Baltistan or just the 4 passes?
No, they would be initially more interested in that. Punjab पास वो कंट्रोल करना चाहता है, और ये 3-4 पासेस हैं जो वो कंट्रोल करना चाहता है कि अगर ये मैं कंट्रोल कर लूंगा तो बंदा अंदर नहीं आएगा. See, anything bigger he takes, internationally the antennas will go up. So he is going to impose like he did with Tajikistan कि you give me permission to set up a base. तो वो 3-4 बेस बना देगा वहां पे, 2-3-4 to control these passes, so that he is able to control the movement and feels a bit secure that the militants from Afghanistan and Pakistan don't filter into Xinjiang. That is his biggest worry as on date.
Last question, guys. After that, I'm going to open up for all your questions. So before I do that, please do like this video. We have huge amount of people watching in, but very few likes. So please touch the like button so that there's just 38 likes, guys. Come on, we can do better than that. It's just a little touch. I'm not asking for much. just like the videos, subscribe it. Hitting in 20,000 subscribers, I think in the next couple of
Good,
days,
good, good.
19,500 cross ho gaya. So
बढ़िया
help
है,
me out in
बढ़िया.
that particular aspect. And of course, yes, if you can do contribute towards the Dev Talks efforts, the QR code is up there, or you can become a super. You can send us a super sticker or super chat, or become a member. That's as simple as that. So, last question. Now,
Yeah.
the idea of China actually wanting to do something with Pakistan would require a sort of a setup where Pakistan, as you said, is a very proud country, would have to give away something. One of the biggest reasons why the Pakistanis are not willing to give a base to China is because लोग बोलेंगे चूड़ियां पहन रखी है तुम लोगों ने, पहले भी हुआ था, and this will happen again. Uh, how do you think they will? How do you think they will sell this to the Pakistanis? Even I don't. Do you think they've already broken the conversation to the Pakistanis, or how is it going to happen?
See, they would have broken, I'm sure this time around when Munir had gone, this is what they would have told him, because there have been series of attacks. They have been after Bajwa also, and Bajwa had raised that constabulary to look after them, about 15,000 odd people,
Yeah,
some say 20,000. But that has not been effective. That has not been effective. And so they would have given the push that okay, ठीक है, बाकी जगह नहीं, ये चार जगह हमको दे दो, so that I can guard both flanks of the Wakhan corridor and from your area that they can come. That I don't think. They will only keep saying that you give us more money and we'll create this force for you. That has been their stand throughout.
mm.
Give us the funding, we will place the boots on
This
ground.
yeah this whatever this protection force also the Chinese pay for
Yeah,
actually.
pay for that. But now the problem which is coming is that they have not been found to be dependable. They are now realizing now that what we also face, that if a militant is coming to strike, जब स्ट्राइक होता है तो सब हो हल्ला शुरू करते हैं, बट यू डोंट रियलाइज दैट हाउ मेनी ऑफ दोस अटेम्प्ट्स हैव फेल्ड
Ah,
बिकॉज ऑफ द वे यू आर प्रोटेक्टिंग द पीपल. बट एक अटेम्प्ट एक सक्सेस हो जाता है तो आंखें निकल आती हो, ये हो गया, ये हो गया. एंड दैट इज द
like
थिंग दैट द चाइनीज आर
like
फेसिंग.
Poonch.
या,
There's so many attacks that are being prevented when the terrorists are being taken out left, right, and center. But there is gonna be one attack. I mean, you can't have
one
no attacks.
one or, and you can't be 100% successful.
It's not
It's
possible.
just
Yes,
not
sir.
possible, right?
I mean, as sad as that is, I'm sorry for sounding like a hoot, but
That's the way it is. So, but I, being a devil's advocate, I tell this now to the Pakistanis. See, it is easy when you are controlling and then react. You create an incident within your own country and you react within an hour or half an hour or so and say, look, we are so well prepared. But now when you're being attacked when people who are not in your control, अब दूध का दूध पानी का पानी आ रहा है आपको कि प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है. So there were a number of incidents within Pakistan which they had planned themselves, just to show to the world, and just look at it, just to show to the world that we are also being targeted and how professional we are. We react so fast. They have done some incidents within the country, but when it happens without your knowledge, then you realize the problem. Like the, when they attacked the school, Peshawar
yeah,
school, when they attacked the Mehran naval base, then you get to realize that yeah, it's not so simple. And so now this is the problem the Pakistanis are facing with the vis-a-vis the Chinese, that they are doing everything that they can, because pound for pound, their soldiers are very good. This much I will grant them. They're good.
general, their senior officers may not be, the generals
They're
may
not
not be,
good,
but
but
the soldiers are
uh,
decent. Yes,
neither level, they're good. Professional,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
And they know their job. So they would have been doing all this. But like I said, 100% तो नहीं कर सकते ना. You
And right now,
can't.
as it is, the morale is so down.
Correct. And so that is what is the problem which is facing China and Pakistan. Now it takes a call, Munir, because if he does it, I don't think the Pak army is going to like it. So I feel that they will still stand that you give us the money and we will provide
Raise
you
the
this.
force.
It doesn't become a loan which he has to pay back. I'm giving you a service, you're paying the money for it.
Army on rent.
Yes, yes.
This is a
Hey,
broad
land on
heading.
rent था यार पूरा
Chalo, I'll
पूरा
do some
land.
social service towards Pakistan, sir, if you allow me. My open-ended advertising to all people looking for army on hire. Please do get in touch with General Asim Munir. I'm sure he'll be able to help you out. I thought I'll just advertise. बेचारों को पैसे पैसे मिल जाएंगे सर कोई बात नहीं.
नहीं अभी तो अब तो पाकिस्तान के अंदर ही कुछ कर सकते हैं तो कर सकते हैं
But
यार अदरवाइज
they're
फॉर क्वाइट अ
frankly
लॉन्ग टाइम.
speaking, the forex reserves have gone up to 10 billion. Huh?
आ गए होंगे दाएं बाएं से पैसे दिए होंगे.
यूक्रेन को इतना बेच दिया सर.
And see, people forget that there was a time when they used to guard the Makkah Medina complex.
Yeah.
They had a whole brigade as a private guard which used to guard the Saudi royal family. They were pilots who used to fly their planes. But after that Makkah incident, where the militants had come and taken over that, they fell foul. उसके बाद से धीरे धीरे करके वो वहां से निकल गए. बट अभी भी उनका चीफ इज फाइटिंग. एक्स चीफ केयानी
हाँ.
was head of the
क्या the
coalition of
United
forces
Arab
against Yemen.
Force. Yeah, the Arab coalition.
Arab coalition against Yemen.
अब वही है ना सर, चाइना ने उसकी भी नौकरी खा ली बेचारा. वो नौकरी वोकरी में बैठा था वहां पर. वॉर शॉर चल रही थी, सब ठीक ठाक था. वो चाइना ने जाके सऊदी और ईरान का करा दिया. वो
सुने
तो गड़बड़
कर
हो
भी दो
गई.
बट लेट्स सी अभी आगे व्हाट ट्रांसपायर्स. उसको क्या फर्क पड़ता है जब वो खत्म हो जाएगा तो वो अपने आई थिंक ही हैज इन्वेस्टेड ऑल हिज मनी इन ऑस्ट्रेलिया. वहां चला जाएगा.
Yes.
बट आई रियली डोंट नो व्हाट इज देयर fad for going only to the Anglo-Saxon countries.
Sir, वो, I mean, today we hate the West, but 10 years ago, oh, oh, I mean, it was always like that. Even now, I mean, and I have nothing against North or South Indians. Let me put that across very clearly.
No,
But
no,
there's
I'm still saying,
a lot of
I'm
people
just saying
still
why
question.
Anglo-Saxon, yeah, bulk of them don't do, some of them, a few of them go, but your senior officers don't go to Europe, continental Europe, yeah. That is what I'm asking. कॉन्टिनेंटल यूरोप नहीं जाते, वही एंग्लो सैक्सन में ही बेल्ट में ही उनका
Canada, US, Australia.
UK, Australia, a little bit in New Zealand, but it is basically UK, Canada, Australia, and US.
हाँ वही है, the same culprits.
Yeah.
Let's get into some questions, sir. I got a question on WhatsApp. The interesting question that came out is that what if the US instigates the Hazaras and the ATM to foment trouble in Xinjiang?
Hazara have not been able. They have made their bed with the Tajiks, yeah, with the अपना तालिबान. वो अकेला हो गया है. द नदर्न रेवोल्यूशन आर्मी उनका जो था रेजिस्टेंस फोर्स, वो क्या कर रहा है? अकेला बैठा हुआ है, शिफ्टिंग बिटवीन ताजिकिस्तान एंड अमरुल्ला साले. हु इज सपोर्टिंग हिम? नोबडी. सो instigate US through what? There's a lot of funding and other things involved. Like when we were supporting the Northern Army, the money used to Northern Alliance, the money used to come from India and Iran and Russia, and there was a lot of weapons which used to come from Russia. But अभी कहीं से कुछ नहीं आ रहा ना. अमेरिका क्या देगा, कहाँ से देगा, कैसे देगा? So यही है.
Vasuki asks, China is illegally building CPEC. Building nahi yaar, it's already built in Gilgit Baltistan, which is legally Indian. India should light up the CPEC in POK using its surrogates.
Okay. Basically, let's be clear, Vasuki, the Karakoram Highway, which passes through Gilgit Baltistan, which goes through the Punjab Pass, was built as far back as 78, 79. Okay. We never said anything at that time. Now, yes, अभी हमको सीपेक में सरोगेट्स मस्ट बी कुछ हो रहा होगा. पीओके में करके क्या करना है, वहां पे गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान का क्या करना है, बाकी इलाके में तो आग लगी हुई है, कुछ करते नहीं बन रहा उससे. And as it is, Pakistan is sunk. You not use just geoeconomics, you use geostrategy and geopolitics and with your diplomacy in such a big way that in a lot of places Pakistan is persona non grata, not getting anything. इन्हें अभी जैसे उसको थोड़े बहुत पैसे आ गए, ये आ गए. आई एम रिमाइंडेड ऑफ अजीत डायलॉग, नो जोक, कि इसको लिक्विड ऑक्सीजन में पुट हिम इन लिक्विड ऑक्सीजन. The liquid will not permit him to die and the oxygen will not, liquid will not permit him to live and the oxygen will not permit him to die. ये हालत है उसका आज की तारीख में. सीपेक is like a liquid oxygen for him. क्या करेगा वो? यानी अगर खुद ही अपने आप को मार रहा है, मैं अपने सरोगेट्स को उस चीज के लिए क्यों लूं जो अपने आप को खुद को मार रहा है?
खुद कर रहा है वो.
खुद कर रहा है, करने दो. I will use it for some other purpose, like we had discussed over 2 sessions, or what is the grand strategy of the US here. देख लो उसको.
नहीं, apart from that, sir, these so-called surrogates, we see they are only effective when they're used for a certain purpose and finished.
Yeah.
You cannot continue on these kind of activities because then it gets termed as terrorism, and that becomes a problem, right? As what Pakistan has done is basically using its surrogates. Now, overuse of those guys has turned it into terrorism, and look where it has landed them up. So it has to be whatever you do has
targeted. What you want to do, karo aur nikal aao.
Absolutely.
You have to have an aim. Aim is not spreading discord within the country. वो तो already है, हो चुका है. Now within this, what do you want to achieve? Your long-term aim. Use your surrogates to target to achieve that. That's it.
Nothing. Absolutely. This is a wild question, sir, from Rahul. He says, if Pakistan's situation worsens, wouldn't be it in India's interest to demand Gilgit Baltistan and POK in return for funds to revive the Pakistani economy?
Rahul, if you have heard my earlier talks, there is no structure within this place which is known as Pakistan. आप क्या फंड किसको दोगे to revive economy? What economy?
Revive what?
What? Is there a governance structure, something which is there? Nothing.
Industrial base zero, production base zero, services zero, nothing.
But why do I need a demand? That is where I hinted. Na? Use your surrogates properly for what you need to do.
Exactly.
डिमांड करोगे, कोई कौन देगा तुम?
आके गिरना चाहिए हाथ में. Pakistani elite is quite happy being on top of the pile, just like the Delhi Sultans and Mughals.
Manicho, sir, I would compare the Pakistani elites to Nero, who were fiddling when the Rome was burning. Pakistan is in flame, yes. I don't talk of Pakistan 1% or 2%. Aam Aadmi. Aam Aadmi. It's in flames. They don't see any future. And their own people from Geo TV and all who talk, they say that so many lakhs of people, young, are migrating, which indicates that they have no future. And I agree, yeah. There is no future. Kya hai?
Indeed. RK, he asks, China now has stakes in Gilgit Baltistan and some in POJK. If we were were to walk into these areas, assuming that Pakistani army is now reduced to a walkover, don't you foresee resistance from China? This is something I always wonder, sir.
Yeah, I never. That's how what he was also Adi was also telling. No? You have to use your surrogates for a purpose. So
This
the
is what I wonder
walk-in,
all the time, that the
walk-in is at a
Chinese are,
later date.
yeah.
You target them. अभी जैसे बाकी जगह जब टारगेट हुआ है तो भागे नहीं है वहां से, तो आप यहाँ टारगेट करो, वो भागेगा यार। वो कौन सा दूध का धुला, उसमें कौन सा जीबी में बैठ के नेशनलिज्म आने वाला है उसको यार। when he gets targeted, he'll run from there. Obviously he'll run, yeah. He will scream even if Xi Jinping tells them to stay there, they will run, yeah. They'll go back. They know it's not their country, why will he do it? So you have to have a strategy. You can't just walk in. I would say you have to have a strategy of how you would like to take over and किस तरह से करो. And based on that, your physical presence is not going to be there. So how are you going to plan it? How do you plan to conduct your psyops, perception management, your surrogates, influence operations? That's how you're going to do it. Multi-domain. That's the way it is these days. Yeah? It's not going to be immediate. 5-7 साल 10 साल तो लग ही जाएंगे इसमें। आप डोंट थिंक
Minimum,
कि आज
sir.
शुरू कर दिया तो कल हो जाएगा ना।
This is a slow process, and it has to be done ensuring that there is no blowback to you. In today's day and world,
Like I said, the foundation that you make for your influence operations and all these has to be, you got to now start looking at what kind of events are taking place within these areas. Now
yeah,
spin a story around it. As the
exactly.
facts on ground change, keep spinning out new stories. That is how your possession management is done.
And you
And you
have
got,
you have already stuff happening there.
yeah, and once you keep doing it and you're successful, even if you're 60%, 70% successful, you've achieved your aim. Yeah, if
Absolutely.
70% of the population is ready, you're ready.
You're done.
But उसके लिए प्लान चाहिए आपको, प्रॉपर प्लानिंग, लॉन्ग टर्म प्लान.
Shritik asks, hypothetically, if the PLA is stationed in large numbers in Gilgit Baltistan for security, then it's possible for him to open up two fronts against us. What are our options to prevent this or preempt this?
Can he? वैसे ही in eastern Ladakh he uses oxygen to climb up and start walking here, and then after that he goes into a tent with oxygen.
Yeah. Heated
You
tent.
think there he is going to have that chance? He is more interested, like I said, in controlling those 3-4 passes, so that he doesn't have a blowback.
So what
These
you're
are
essentially saying is that
very
his
high altitude
deployment
areas.
his deployment in this region would be for his own safety and not against India, sir.
Yeah.
Would I be right by saying that?
Yes. Yes. And you see their own, what you get on their net chatters and Weibo and other places. Yeah. With an oxygen bottle, जैसे ऑक्सीजन का पाइप यहाँ पे लगा हुआ है उसके साथ चल रहा है. They don't even have a concept of acclimatization so that you can live at that altitudes. You don't have. So if you don't, the moment you get a shot, bottle ऐसा फटेगा बंदे का चीथड़े उड़ जाएंगे यार. You can't fight with oxygen bottles out there. Yeah? You're not going for a mountaineering expedition. You got to learn to live and manage and sustain yourself in such super high altitude, which our infantry does a wonderful job. Yeah.
Indeed, sir. I mean, that was scary actually, looking at these chaps walking around with oxygen cylinders. One explosion, a grenade goes off next to him. The splinters itself will take out 10, 12 chaps.
And at the end of it, they go back to an oxygen tent and proper mask लगा के उसको 10-15 मिनट proper oxygen दिया जाता है. That how you going to live in super high altitude and fight?
They probably
I
live
don't.
like that, but fighting is another.
Then how can you live like that? Yeah, you got to acclimatize yourself and live there. Yeah. The moment you leave that and come out, you will get into high altitude sickness. Yeah.
Rahul asks, everybody knows that Pakistan nukes are the threat to global security. Then why nobody is serious about it in the world? We were having this conversation right before we went live, so let's pick that up again.
Yeah, because Rahul, it's a very good point, and I'm sure people don't want to draw attention towards that. That is where, to my reckoning, what I have learnt about it, that is where the IMF tranche is stuck. The condition that has been given is essentially that they have to cut their budget immediately by one third, defense budget, and wherein they have to include the 600 million for pay and pension which they have taken out from defense budget and kept it in the civilian budget. That is the first one. After that, they have to, within the next period of 5 years, I think, or 10 years, they have given, they have to slash their military by one third. Exactly the same conditions what they have given to Sri Lanka, which Sri Lanka is doing. Apart from that, they have been clearly asked that why are you holding so many nuclear weapons, for whom? You've not been threatened by anybody. You are the one who's threatening. So they want to take out the nuclear weapons, and which he is resisting, and
He's
he's
not
not
getting the
getting
money.
money. Now he's antagonizing the Russians and to an extent the Chinese by giving ammunition to Ukraine because Europe doesn't have the industry to produce so many ammunition. वहां से थोड़े बहुत पैसे कमा रहा है. That's about all. But that's chicken feed.
You can't
So
sustain
this is
yourself
what,
with that.
no. The issue is that in the next 3 years he has to pay $77 billion as interest. 77 billion. है ही नहीं.
Fuck,
So
that's two
1 billion,
billion a
2
month.
billion, 10 billion is yeah, chiller. Yeah.
That's 2 billion a month.
Yeah, and bulk of it, the largest chunk goes to China, and the second goes to Saudi Arabia. Why do you think Chinese are able to read the riot act on him? It's because of this. यार इतने सारे पैसे तुम्हारे पास हैं. Interest. I'm not even talking of the principal. So they are
It's
serious, but Pakistan is resisting.
RK Saab again. The maintenance of the line of the Siachen Glacier ops of the Pakistani army passes to Gilgit Baltistan. Would an Indian takeover of Gilgit Baltistan not mean the end of Siachen Glacier operations of the Indian army?
Of course, yeah. Of course.
Actually, that'll become a nice training ground.
The
Still man that place, get ready.
Siachen Glacier नहीं रहेगा ना, then you will be all over all these parcels.
Yeah.
Gilgit Skardu is the main brigade headquarters which controls that. That's the hub. They are all part of Gilgit Baltistan.
China is forcing the Uyghurs to adopt Han culture, but is not discriminating in terms of infrastructure and standard of living as the mainland. Would it still make a case for Uyghur persecution?
Standard of living as mainland. Essence, sir, I would request you to open Google Earth and look at the night picture, and please have a look at Xinjiang.
There's nothing.
Right? The more developed a place is, the more bright it is at night. So when you look at China, the eastern seaboard is bright, and after that, everything is dark. So what infrastructure? Infrastructure doesn't improve the standard of living. No? Road जा रहा है. Does that improve a standard of living for a person? No. And what standard of living you're talking of when more than 1 million people are Men and women are incarcerated. You are castrating the men. Look at what you're doing to the women. They-
Organ
What is
sales and
that to
this,
say
it's
that
terrible.
would you still make a case for persecution? I'm amazed at your question, Esther. You must get your facts on what is going on with the poor Uyghurs in Xinjiang before you make
The
a case
problem,
that
and I think, wh- yeah, where I see is that the Chinese have put out these videos saying, look at this, look at that. There's nothing
you
wrong with
can
the.
look at anything.
Yeah,
See, I'm not interested. You can look at anything. The fact that you put these people in penal detention in the garb of re-education, and you're doing all sorts of horrific things to them. This woman who escaped from there into Kazakhstan, who brought this out to the notice, please read that, and you'll be shocked. After that, no amount of development is going to say that no persecution. I'm sorry, yeah.
and even Google Earth images, if you just keenly locate it, you'll be able to see these concentration camps spread in multiple
So, as
areas
I'm
in
saying,
that
I
area.
would not agree to your point of view. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Naveen Bhatia says, is Pakistan ungovernable or has no leadership? Pakistan is suffering from weep effect, water, economy, education, and population. Weep effect will implode Pakistan internally or externally.
See, Pakistan ungovernable, the elite have been able to control them because it's still a feudal society.
Hmm.
Now, the biggest problem is yes, gross misuse of water. They have done nothing about the water. When they are running out of water, they have been sinking bore wells, so the water table has all gone down. Economy तो कभी था ही नहीं. Right from 47, they have been living literally on dole. Aid, grant, loan, that is what they have been living on. नाउ अब सर पे चढ़ गया है कि पहले तो एक से लोन लेके दूसरे का पूरा लोन वापस करते थे, प्रिंसिपल प्लस इंटरेस्ट. अब लोन ले रहे हैं इंटरेस्ट वापस करने के लिए. दैट इज वेयर दे हैव रीच्ड. एजुकेशन, यू आर वेरी राइट भाटिया साहब. 86 तक ठीक था. 86 से जियाउल हक डिसाइडेड दैट all this education is nonsense. Now everything will be taught the Sharia way. So your education right from childhood is just this, Sharia that, jihad, and that all these mujahids and non-state actors are freedom fighters and they are heroes. तो एजुकेशन में तो अब कुछ सिखाते नहीं हैं आपको. पॉपुलेशन तो बहुत बढ़ गया है उनका. यस. सो इज इट इम्प्लोडिंग? अभी और क्या चाहिए इम्प्लोड करने के लिए? But the biggest worry has always been earlier that whenever they had an internal problem, they would try to externalize it.
Hmm.
Okay. But today, the problem they are facing is that the one entity which was holding Pakistan together, the Pakistan Army, that's why we had a saying here that there is a tract of land across controlled by Pakistan by an army which is called, the land is called Pakistan. Now that itself is facing fissures. Now you have a runaway fight within, firstly, between the three pillars that you have. The bureaucracy is out. It is essentially the military, the legislature, and the judiciary. Executive तो चुपचाप है. Powers पहले भी नहीं थे, and today also you
अभी
find
भी
them
नहीं है.
missing in action. The best part is within these pillars itself there are fissures. So if he still wants to externalize it, how much can he do? यही करेगा जैसे पुंछ में किया है. ज्यादा करने से डरेगा, क्योंकि वो बाजवा ने बोल रखा है ना कि भाई है नहीं कुछ, टैंके चलेंगी नहीं, जहाज उड़ेंगी नहीं. लुक एट ऑल दी. कितने दिन निकल गए. नेशनल सिक्योरिटी कमीशन ने उनका बोला था ना, वी आर गोइंग टू लॉन्च एन ऑफेंसिव इनसाइड खैबर पख्तूनख्वा. क्या हुआ? उल्टा इनके ऊपर ऑलमोस्ट डेली दो दो से तीन के 3 से 4 अटैक्स हो रहे हैं इन खैबर पख्तूनख्वा. आपने ढिंडोरा तो पीट दिया था कि हम वी आर गोइंग टू लॉन्च एन ऑफेंसिव अगेंस्ट देम। अब वो ज़रबे मोमीन ज़रबे वो सब करने के वो दिन खत्म हो गए यार, अब है नहीं तुम्हारे पास कुछ भी।
अरे
तो
उस
हाउ
टाइम पे
मच
दम
विल
था
यू,
यार इनके पास। हम्म,
पार्डन?
उस टाइम पे दम था, प्लस द अमेरिकन्स वर आल्सो सपोर्टिंग अ लॉट।
ये तो उनको पैसे आ रहे थे ना,
हम्म,
फॉर ऑल दिस आईसैफ को जो लॉजिस्टिक्स सब जाता था, पैसे आ रहे थे तो था। अब कुछ नहीं है, अब तो फ्यूल नहीं है। अब वही तो इंडिकेटर दे रहा हूँ ना, नेशनल सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल में तो आपने डिसीजन ले लिया था कि दैट इज द बिगेस्ट थ्रेट, नॉट इंडिया, एंड वी आर गोइंग टू लॉन्च अ मेजर ऑफेंसिव अगेंस्ट देम। अब वो कब, अप्रैल के बिगनिंग में हुआ था, अब तो मई आने वाला है यार, वी हैवंट डन एनीथिंग। So the capacity to conventionally externalize with the army is limited, and they are scared to externalize excessively against India also. Because if you have a Balakot or a surgical strike or something like that in a bigger way, they won't be able to respond or नाक कट जाएगी। नाक तब भी कटी थी, नाक अब भी कटी थी। So that is their problem they are facing.
Rahul asks, would Pakistan melt if they get a sweetener from China in exchange for access to Wakhan? Sweetener like full waiver of all the loans and or free grants to clear all international debts. It's a huge amount of money.
Rahul, Pakistan would be wishing for it,
China will have to break the bank for it,
right?
sir.
But China is not going to do it, right? China is not going to do it. Even Hamban Tota, at that time it used to be 8 billion in interest that they had to pay. They waived just about 2 billion to take Hamban Tota, just 2, not the rest. So if they expect कि ये सब हो जाएगा, so it is just like वो statement कहते हैं ना, I entirely agree, Pakistan would be really happy if this happened, but then if wishes were horses, beggars would fly.
And
होगा
the
नहीं,
sun to set in and the
होगा
sun to set in Kichad
नहीं।
every evening.
they will just, a portion of it, if Pakistan agrees, which is most unlikely, they will give a waiver for just a portion of the debt, not the balance. International debts तो पहुंच छोड़ दो यार, अपने खुद का debt he is not going to clear it. So why will he
30
clear all
बिलियन
of
है
it?
उसका सर, अगर 30 बिलियन चाइना हटा दे तो पाकिस्तान will suddenly be with his
क्या?
head above water suddenly.
नहीं।
Surendra Saab asks, nice of you, Surendra, to join in. I think he puts a comment on every show, but very rarely has he been in live shows. Given what General has said, what should be India's strategy about taking Gilgit Baltistan? Do we give it up or take some parts up to Skardu?
I told you, it's not so simple. In any case, in that area, we are face to face with them on Siachen. Okay, so you got to internalize the situation in Gilgit Baltistan. Strategize, information warfare, perception management, get your surrogates, work towards a strategy, start hitting, pinching the Chinese, start disrupting the logistics lines which are coming towards these people. Build it up slowly. It's not immediate. Even if the Chinese are wanting to do it, it's not going to happen immediately. It takes time. They
Hmm.
have been after the Tajiks for a base out there, if I remember correctly, since 2010-11. They got the first one around 2016-17. Now, because they were also worried and the Russians were also worried when Taliban took over in Afghanistan, after 5 years, they permitted them this. इतना जल्दी देगा नहीं, and it's a long term plan, 5 to 10 years. So you got to strategize and start working, and I'm sure the government is doing something. ये चीजें वही होती हैं, like I said, Albert, जो कहता है वो करता नहीं है, और जो करता है वो कहता नहीं. You never openly state what you do.
Yeah, we're not Pakistan. They're going to say, oh,
You never
that's your
speak
that's
for them. These things are kept quietly and done in the background.
absolutely. A Chinese think tank has recently recommended implementation of a $60 billion Guadalajara China railway. Is it feasible? I'd ask if it's possible. Forget the feasibility, if it's even possible.
So BLA and TTP won't permit it. And is it, firstly, let us look at the economic feasibility of it. Railway line for what? What will
Okay,
Pakistan earn
can I
from it?
can I can I just stop you here for 1 second, sir? There's a
Yeah.
another question on the same line, so we can actually bunch up both of these. Assuming that the CPEC project is completed, will it become a long-term successful corridor for the Chinese to avoid Malacca? So you said, uh, for what? Malacca. Now, how feasible is it for that to be used against the Malacca?
Malacca NFA. Forget it. They'll never get across the Malacca dilemma. The only way they can get across the Malacca dilemma if they're able to squeeze the thighs to get a Kra canal across the Kra Peninsula. Okay, please get onto the map. Measure from Gwadar to the eastern sea. The complete industrialization is on the eastern sea. Distance measure करके just let me know how many trains, what is the length of the train, and how will these containers and all these oil pipelines and all the gas reach that place. I'll rest my case. Okay. So all this talk is of armchair people who have no clue about logistic movement. Thank you. I'll stick my neck out and say I have no clue about logistic movements. It's not so simple.
Absolutely.
As part of the BRI, One Belt, One Road, and modernization and part of China 2025, he was to clear out the low and medium tech, most of it, out from the eastern seaboard to give space for high tech companies to come. Three nodes were planned. One is in Yunnan, one already there in Xinjiang in Khardos to look after Central Asia and other areas. And the third one is being planned in Kashgar. Kashgar is meant to look after South Asia and Africa. They see he's going to leave the countries here in such a state of development that they'll be very happy with low to medium tech items. It is meant for that. And this railway line, this corridor, the Gwadar port, and everything is meant for that. The other thing is this Gwadar port is meant for, and this road and railway line is meant for. Along this alignment runs a digital silk route. China is creating an alternate internet to the existing internet that is there with their own standards. Servers and all will be located in China, and underground connection will go to Africa. That is the Gwadar. So all this Malacca Strait, Falaka Strait is nonsense. Okay. So that is what it is meant for. When Kyakpu nahi kar paya, which is closer to his eastern seaboard, on Kyakpu is near Sitwe in Myanmar. From there, he already has a gas pipeline, has a road which runs into Yunnan. That has not been able to solve with Malacca. Do you think this is going to solve it? No. It is everything is meant for him to do his business. It has got nothing to do with Pakistan. Pakistan is not going to earn anything. And if and when he gets the industrial special economic zones, he is going to keep his companies there, who will also export it. And जो पाकिस्तान को चाहिए तो वो दे देगा वहां से.
Yeah, he'll make trade warehouses and keep it there, and सामान भेजेगा वहां से और क्या.
Yeah, so he's not good. Even for Pakistan thinks that for Afghanistan linking to the CPEC is going to be through Pakistan. No, please. It's going to be the Wakhan or the Wakjir Pass at the end of the Wakhan corridor. He's already built his warehouses, connectivity, communication, roads, rail, well lit area. Everything is done as of 2010. It's complete. Now he's got his two bases to control that area. Whenever they agree this, he will make the road. It's not going to be linked through Pakistan. He's not a fool. He knows how Pakistan treated the ISAF and the Americans. He's not going to link it from there. वो पाकिस्तान को पाइप ड्रीम था कि वो करने वाला है. So, and this is not going to now happen in a hurry. It's going to take its own time. Why? Because he went very fast in spending money, Xi Jinping, and he has overspent and he has burnt himself. Now the money is not coming back. The previous Jiang Zemin and Hu Jintao were going in a step-by-step approach. इसने जल्दबाजी कर दी कि मेरा नाम होगा. एंड रिजल्ट ये हो गया कि इसका नाम तो होगा कि जिसने इकोनॉमिक हु ब्रॉट चाइना टू ऑलमोस्ट एन इकोनॉमिक रूइन. It's going down and there is nothing that they are able to do to get it up. So corridors and all now will take time.
We'll take a couple
And
of more questions, sir.
yeah, there is the situation within Pakistan itself is not conducive for this
Conducive.
to be
Yeah,
activated.
absolutely. Will China become a vassal state? Will Pakistan become a vassal state of China, like they were once of America? Especially since the Chinese will always interfere in their faith, and radicals are a present and clear danger to China in Xinjiang.
होगा, हो नहीं पाएगा because it not likely. Like I was mentioning, I think all the elites have their children and funds in the Anglo-Saxon state. So it will always be a vassal of the Anglo-Saxon state, and they will permit him to shift the envelope, push the envelope only that much and not more. They don't have any people invest. They know investment which they have done, the elite within China, for them to go and live in China. They're not living in China. They don't have it in Hong Kong. They don't have it in Singapore, where the Chinese have some degree of control. Nothing. So that tells you.
Mahesh asks, how India attack helped Pakistan Army chief visit to China on how they are still capable to hurt India, and how how they will blackmail the West to let IMF fund Pakistan, else it will go to China.
All he has got to do, Mahesh Saab, all that US and the Anglo-Saxons will do, they have shown it with the Russians, they'll freeze their accounts.
Yeah,
भिखारी हो जाएंगे अगले दिन, उनके बच्चे भी भिखारी हो जाएंगे,
सारे रोड पे खड़े होंगे.
रोड पे कटोरा लेके खड़े हो जाएंगे और जाएगा फिर चाइना के पास. China is not going to permit them to do all that they did. No way. So they know which side of the bread is buttered.
And if
Attack
the
on India
Americans,
didn't help. It is not linked. The attack on India is not linked कि help army chief visit to China. It's not as if China would have said कि India को attack करो तभी आने दूंगा. No, it is not that. He was not getting it from any place, so he finally decided to go to China. Because after all, the biggest lender today, or you could say the largest chunk of money that he has to pay in interest is to China. So he would have gone to China to ask him to at least tide over some loan. That is also a need as far as the IMF is concerned. But नहीं हुआ है तो अब ये जो अटैक ऑन इंडिया है, दिस pinpricks he will do.
he has to
He
keep
has
his
to
thing alive.
externalize it some way or the other. So he can't use conventional, so non-state actor करेगा. और इतना डरा हुआ था, his entire फौज was on standby, and he was expecting that India will attack so that he can immediately go and tell the judges that I can't hold it because you see we have a problem with India.
This
वो
is
हुआ नहीं.
exactly what I was saying. These attacks were not targeted at India. India was a sad coincidence. These were internal messaging. They
This is
wanted to
to
create
tell
something with India so that they could
with
just
India.
brush off this election and stuff.
They saw that last two times India did a attack, but what they forgot,
Exactly.
India did not attack immediately. India planned it and took its own time and place. कब
Right now,
करना है.
if we do, we'll be helping him.
Yeah, so we are not helping him. अपने टाइम से
कोई नहीं करना,
करेंगे.
आराम से बैठो, बाद में करेंगे. जल्दी क्या है? मारना है तो
तुम भी
मारेंगे.
यही हो, हम भी यही हैं. तुम भी यही हो, हम भी यही हैं.
आप
सब
भी यही
यही
है,
हैं.
देखेंगे कहाँ जाते हो.
लेकिन
Exactly.
so
Hello, Adi and General sir. On this current question about CPEC, I get reminded of a direct freight train that runs between Hamburg and China. Is it true? How much has it been used?
there is, it runs from UAE and goes to Hamburg. Intermittent. I'll tell you why. Like I said, na, logistics समझा करो. A freight train from UAE to Hamburg takes about 11 days, and there are about 4 or 5 transshipments because the gauges keep changing.
Yeah,
All the
especially the Russian
gauges
gauge is
across
different.
the world in railway line are not the same gauge.
Russian gauge is different, sir.
Yeah, it takes 11 days. Chinese का लगे, हमारा लगे, Americans का लगे, हमारा British छोड़ के गए थे. It takes 11 days. So they send a huge लंबा ट्रेन जो हमने भी कॉपी किया था वासु की. Okay, it takes that one train double decker takes about 220 feet containers. 220 feet containers. Now I take one ship from UAE going up to Hamburg. It takes 21 days.
It takes probably 1,000 containers.
Carries 15,000 containers.
See,
Even if I say that I put all the effort and I can run 10 trains, see, when the length of the train increases that much, the route capacity reduces
reduces.
because you don't have that kind of handling capabilities in the various railway stations. Transshipment होता है, you'll have to break it. लूप लाइन ही उतना लंबा नहीं होगा, उसको तोड़ के आपको 2 में खड़ा करना पड़ेगा. ओके, इट टेक्स टाइम. तो कभी फुर्सत में मिलेंगे तो आई विल एक्सप्लेन हाउ, व्हाई, क्या होता है. तो आई एम स्टिल टेलिंग दैट यू टेक 10 इन द होल मंथ. 10 मीन्स 2000. इवन इफ आई से दैट मेरे 4 शिप ही पहुंचे महीने में, 60,000 containers. Now please do the logistics and
And it's so
mathematics.
cheap, it's safe, there's no headaches, nothing.
And एक लोड हुआ, वहां उतरा. Every transshipment you got to pay.
Yeah.
Okay. Usage of yard, उसका चार्जेस लगता है. कितने दिन यूज किया उसका चार्जेस लगता है. ऐसी फ्री में कोई रेलवे यार्ड आपको दे नहीं देता है. So now when you calculate and see 2,000 containers have reached there and here 50-60,000 containers are reaching there, आप decide कर लो यार which is faster, which is better. दिखने के लिए बड़ा अच्छा लगता है.
हाँ, this
It is
one belt
only-
one.
It is only for immediate neighboring countries where it will be cost effective to some extent. That's about
I
it.
want to trade with Europe, so I'm going to send a train to Europe.
वो बिस्किट्स जाते हैं यार उसमें. The 3-4 times that they have sent to Hamburg and Cologne, they sent biscuits यार. अभी सेम इज द केस. INSTC बोल रहे हैं रशिया से हम कर लेंगे, ये करेंगे. रशिया को यहाँ से बॉम्बे से 40 दिन लगता है. ठीक है यार, 40 दिन लगता है. 40 दिन में तेरे कितने कंटेनर पहुंच गए? 15,000 कंटेनर पहुंच गए. अगर
Exactly.
बड़ा वाला शिप आ गया जो 2 लाख टन वाला है, जो नावा शेवा में आ सकता है, तो मतलब 20,000 कंटेनर पहुंचे. ये ट्रेन लगाता है आपको 10 दिन रशिया सेंट पीटर्सबर्ग पहुंचने के लिए. 10 डेज. चल 40 डेज में तू कितना ट्रेन चला लेगा? 10 ट्रेन 200 करोगे तुम. आज की तारीख में तो 100 ही जाते हैं डबल डेकर. 100 into 10, 1000. Please tell me how is it cost effective? I have not understood. And
It's a lot to
transshipment
do.
कितना होता है?
It's a lot to do with
यहाँ से मैंने
symbolism than
लोड किया,
anything else.
यहाँ से मैंने लोड किया, आई हैव टेकन इट टू छाबहार और बंदर अब्बास, वहाँ अनलोड किया, ट्रकों में डाला, देन टेक इट टू द ट्रेन, लोड इट ऑन द ट्रेन। अभी एक सेक्शन बिटवीन अजरबैजान एंड ईरान कंप्लीट नहीं है। That link, they have started doing it. Russia is also paying the money. They are working on that. Now you have got to take it to the Caspian port, the Iranian port hai, load the ship, ship goes to Astrakhan, unload it,
Unload.
unload it on trucks, take it to a train, and now with the train it goes from Astrakhan to St. Petersburg. Please give me your logistics. How can you tell me that it is cheaper? Russians
How do
claim
you?
it is cheaper, $2,500 per container. I don't think so, unless somebody is charging very less. And then you expect कि भाई वहां से मैं यूरोप के साथ ट्रेड करूं। बॉम्बे से हैम्बर्ग 11 दिन के अंदर आपका थ्रू मेडिटेरेनियन शिप पहुंच जाता है। ये ट्रेन भी आपको 10-11 दिन देगा। 1000 कंटेनर यहाँ जा रहे हैं, 14-15 हजार कंटेनर वहां जा रहे हैं, आप कर लो लॉजिस्टिक्स। तो बोलने के लिए अच्छा लगता है, बट
Absolutely.
you got to
This
be
one,
realistic and look at the logistics.
I must say, sir, that out of the entire episode, this last part is like the top notch, because this really busts a lot of myth. Because and the so-called pro-Russia vocalists from the West keep talking about no, China. All China wants to do is build the One Belt, One Road initiative, and do what? Trade with Europe? Not really understood. But what
It's
you've
not cost
brought out,
effective.
what you
It's not.
cost time, it's not effective at all, sir. What you brought out right now with regards to the number of containers is quite significant with regards to this thing. In any case, sir, Gilgit Baltistan seems to be the flavor of the season, and it's going to be the flavor of the season for a while now, especially after the
We have,
Americans quit.
yes, we have to do something, and I'm sure Dolji would be looking at it closely.
That we can't look at and shouldn't look at
Yeah.
even. So I hope things are in our perspective always. But one big thing that actually you brought out is an interesting part that a lot of people don't understand. The threat, or the Chinese are not, you know, uh, in cooperation with Pakistan. They're also scared of the entire threat that emanates from Pakistan, as well from the ETIM and many other organizations that are there. Uh, it is critical that we need to understand that when we are talking about these kind of issues, because we always say China-Pakistan friendship, which is anti-India, which is, yes, to a part, yes, there's no question about it. But I would now say that there's a larger part that the Chinese are trying to protect themselves.
See, that earlier thing, deeper than the ocean, higher than the mountains, sweeter than the honey, and all that was okay as long as the US and the West were sitting and
For
controlling
sitting in,
Afghanistan.
yes, yes,
Now that they have gone and Taliban is not playing ball, तो दे थॉट कि ओके चले जाएगा तो पाकिस्तान विल बी एबल टू कंट्रोल इट। अब पता लग गया कि पाकिस्तान कंट्रोल इट, पाकिस्तान खुद को कंट्रोल नहीं कर पा रहा है। नाउ द वरी इज टोटली डिफरेंट। Now the worry is totally different. And now he
it's
realizes maybe that by creating the Galwan incident 2 years ago, he's actually painted himself into a corner. If he has to divert his attention towards that side, he'll have to
can't.
accept whatever India says.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that is a total loss of face for him.
And somewhere down the line, I think India has understood that. Day for yesterday's, especially the body language of Mr. Rajnath Singh was quite telling. And even the statement that came out of the Chinese, that we have so much in common rather than uncommonality.
तो
Let's
जूते
figure this
पड़ गए
out.
ना उनको। They were told
Rajnath
in
Singh
uncertain
was.
terms. दादाजी,
There's a photograph. I think I sent it to you also. Rajnath Singh is like doing this, and the Chinese, the entire
you
delegation
met
has
him.
their heads down like that.
Yeah.
He was telling that the body language itself is telling, and Chinese are very careful about giving photograph that ways. I mean, I do these designs, right? So You will not find a photograph of Xi Jinping angry or sad or worried anywhere. You will not find it. The photograph is always that sickening smile that he's got with this thing. It's always that. So if the Chinese have been photographed with this, it's quite significant.
They are worried. No? They are
And we've
worried.
discussed this in our show, guys. Please, if you've not caught that particular show, I think it was last week, where we spoke about why is China wanting to come and sit with us and talk.
Comments.
What is up? Sir, as usual, thank you so much. It's a Saturday afternoon, beautifully spent with a lot of learning, and I'm sure a lot of the 220, 30 people that were watching also feel this way. Guys, my last request to you, please, please, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends who are looking at some more improvement in how the world works and how India's strategy works and how they can actually enhance their own thought processes. I'm not saying I'm the best, but the channel itself as a whole package has been able to give out a lot of good realities. So let me just say that out. Thanks to Sir and many other people who grace this channel. Sir, thank you so very much. This was an eye opener. And
Thank you. Thank you.
second base
And
and
my only word is don't get carried away by all these railway lines and all.
yeah,
The cheapest mode of transport for your economy, for trade, is and is the ship, the large
एक
container ships.
एक छोटा सा डायलॉग है सर. अचार से ज्यादा खट्टी है पाकिस्तान और चाइना की मित्रता.
बहुत सही पकड़े हैं यार के सही, बहुत सही पकड़े. और चाइना
This
के
is
लिए पाकिस्तान अब ऐसा हो गया है जो घुटक भी नहीं सकते और थूक भी नहीं सकते हैं बाहर. फंसा हुआ है गले में, हलक में फंसा
करेगा
हुआ.
क्या?
अब हलक में फंस गया ना, अब पाल के रख लिया, क्या करेगा.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, sir. Till next Saturday, and we will find
Yes,
another
yes.
interesting topic to do a deep dive into. Till then, sir. Jai Hind.
थैंक यू. जय हिंद, जय भारत.